Hi, this is Celeste Taylor, and you found yourself in the lesbian class. Whether you're on a nature walk, baking cookies, or ironing your classroom wardrobe, I'm so happy you're here, and I hope you get a few takeaways. Ring, ring, class is in session. My guest today is my first social media lesbian teacher, Rachel. You may know her from her outfit of the day videos on TikTok, but she is a veteran high school art teacher in her 11th year teaching. She's lesbian and uses she, her pronouns. Welcome to the lesbian class, Rachel.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. What else do I want to do in my day, Talk about some lesbian things, have some good conversation with some people.
I was going to say, after a whole day of teaching, thank you.
Of course. It was a little bit rough one today because we're introducing printmaking and they're carving. And I just have some boys in my class that I just want to kick out the door sometimes because they were being inappropriate with the tools.
Well, I was going to ask you if you could even trust them with they use X-Acto knives or something.
We use that. We also use like carving tools. So like those are also really sharp. So if you don't hold it right, it will cut your finger pretty bad. And then it always tests my patience. Let's just say that.
I bet. I guess I could jump into my first question. I was wondering, after doing a whole bunch of research on you today, I watched your video where you did a classroom tour. Mm-hmm. And I said to myself, I have literally never seen a high school hallway so clean and such a nice, organized, huge, I don't care if it's art or not, huge classroom, and with kilns and the biggest art drying rack I've ever seen in my life. And I'm wondering, do you teach in an affluent area?
So we are a Title I school. So my high school is the only high school in the area, and it's about 2,000 kids. So it's a big school. And that building, when I first came in 11 years ago, that building was only maybe 4-ish years old. So it's a really new building. But when I got hired, I didn't know what my classroom looked like at all. And then I walked into the day where I needed to start setting things up, and I opened my door and I was like, holy shit, like this is like the nicest art room I've ever seen. And it has like 30-foot ceilings and it's just like all these windows. It's really crazy. So I'm very blessed to have all that stuff. And I'm never leaving my room. So like I'm in that school until I die, man.
Definitely.
But in terms of like the school and such, it is a pretty nice like setup because it is relatively new. So it is clean most days. I will say, the kids can kind of litter a bit, but no, I was definitely super excited to see my room when I first got hired.
It's very nice. And what is your average class size? Because it didn't look like there was even that many chairs in there.
So I averaged there, it can seat 32 students, and I've had up to 32 students before, but my normal class size is, I would say, between 28 to 30.
Wow.
And I'm just a super, super, super Virgo. So I am so OCD that I keep my room as clean as it is, even though it's an art room. You would walk in there and you wouldn't realize that it's an art room. Just because I make my kids, I'm like, you better clean up your mess because I ain't doing it,
Right. This isn't home.
Organized, yeah.
It looks really great. And then I noticed your rainbows, and your room is very gay. So, and I'm wondering, I know you're in the Midwest. You don't need to say where. I like to keep it pretty anonymous on this podcast, but very gay. And so I'm so curious to know, literally, I know parent-teacher conferences are coming up for you tomorrow.
Yeah,
and do you never get any pushback or have any issues with parents at your school?
Not really, to be honest. And I try to be as inclusive as possible. Yeah, I might have some like rainbows and such in there too, but I also have, different signs and so forth for, different races and different colors. And I'm just all about inclusivity. And I want my students to feel comfortable, whether they're gay, whether they're Black, whether they're Asian, anyone. So I try to be as inclusive as possible with my decorations. So it's a safe space for them. But no, I really, it's kind of interesting. I really don't get pushback a lot. And I don't have a ton of like parent teacher conferences because again, being an elective class, they want to go
Right.
to the main core classes. I'm just kind of chilling. But the ones that I do get, I get a lot more of like open house where the parents come in to meet the teacher. A lot
Okay.
of them usually come into my room then, and then they usually just say like, "This is a cool room. I wish I had this class when I was in high school," or "I wish I did this projects you're about to do." So it's more along those lines, and I think it's just because I feel like I'm a calm energy, I guess, and my personality kind of like takes over versus like what my setup is. So they kind of get the vibe of me, and then they don't really talk so much about what's in my classroom, essentially, if that makes sense.
And that leads me to my next question, which is so I know you cut your hair last year, only last year.
Mhm.
And so I didn't go, well, I guess you didn't have your TikTok for very long, right? Did you just start it last year, 2023?
I mean, I've had it since the COVID years, good.
Okay.
But I didn't start like posting my like outfit videos until probably I would say not last year, but the following year when I still started doing it when I had longer hair.
Hmm.
And then I just really started being more consistent with it when I cut my hair because I wanted to put like a lesbian mask representation of a teacher out there. Because I don't see
Yeah.
that very often, like seeing like a really masculine presenting lesbian as a teacher. So I wanted to, showcase that and for people to be able to see that and be like, hey, I like what you're wearing. Maybe I'll try it out. So that's why I started it.
How many outfits do you think you own?
they're ever they're ever changing. I mean, I have a lot of clothes. I will admit that. That is definitely my guilty pleasure is my outfits. Um, to be fair, I have like totes, and each season I
Oh,
transfer clothes into my closet because it's like I have too much. And my
yeah.
wife is always like, "You have too many clothes," but I mean, style is everything, man. It's a first
Yeah.
impression. So, I like my clothes.
Well, it's funny too because I know your wife is femme presenting, and so I would imagine she has a lot of clothing, but I definitely know you have a ton of clothing because I was trying to do the math in my head and I said, well, if she's making these outfit of the day videos and it's a different outfit every day and she has all these videos, she literally has hundreds of outfits. But anyway, so I was figuring you each have a bedroom in your home where you each have taken over a closet and a whole bedroom to yourselves, no?
I'm more of the prima donna in this relationship. So like there was a point where before we bought the house that we live in now, I did dedicate one bedroom literally to my closet.
Wow.
Um and then this house has a bigger closet, so like I utilize that and she has her own space, but also
Yeah, and you look great.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely fabulous. I think okay, you seem like you always dressed masculine. Okay, even when you had your long hair.
So interestingly enough, okay, so you didn't get to see the years where when I first started teaching, I still experimented with my clothing, and it's actually kind of funny because of my students. So I would be wearing with my long hair, ties and, kind of like those kind of outfits, very masculine presenting. And then the next day I would like show up with a dress and a skirt on, and they'd be like whiplash because they're going to be like, what is happening right now? Like you were just this one day and now you're this. Like what's happening? So at the beginning of my career, I was kind of very versed like that. And I didn't really start really, really, really nailing things down with my clothes of being just like straight masculine until after I met my wife, which we've been married now this past October for 5 years, but we've been together for
Mm.
7. But she, like, first date with me, she was just like, girl, she's like, why are you wearing this? I can tell that when you put on these different types of masculine clothes, you're just more confident, you're more you, that kind of
Mm.
scenario. So she was just like, you're done with that phase. Come on, my mask daddy, come on, that kind of scenario. But she kind of, made me feel the confident. I mean, I was always confident, but like made me feel that uber confidence to just rock that style and stay with that style.
After seeing your outfit of the day videos where you were dressed mask, but you had your long hair still, I was wondering to myself, well, how long before you cut your hair had you wanted to cut your hair, or had you been thinking about cutting your hair?
I feel like I've always had it in the back of my head. When I was younger, actually, I did have short hair growing up. I really didn't
Ooh.
start growing my hair long until about my junior year of high school, I believe. And
Mm,
I stuck with that hair. I had that hair, same style. So I had my, if people don't know, I had my hair all the way down to my waist, essentially. And it was
mm,
just a blunt cut. There was no layers, there was nothing. Um, I had pretty hair, but like I couldn't do much with it. But I had that for actually 17 years. Like I kept that style for 17 years, all the way through college, all the way through everything. I kept it until literally last year.
mm,
And I finally got the confidence. I'm like, I'm done because I always just kept putting it up. Like it was just
mm,
like I didn't want it in my face.
mm.
So I would have it in a bun and I would have a hat on. And I'm like, what's the purpose of having my hair if I'm just constantly putting it up? And I'm like, I'm
Right.
ready to actually do this. And I wish I would have done it sooner, but it's always been kind of in my head. Like, eventually I want to go short hair. But my hair was a part of my identity for so long because it was like people noticed obviously my personality, but like my hair was a representation of me, and everyone would always be like, "Your hair is so pretty," blah 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 blah. And when I cut it, my coworkers were like, "Your hair was so gorgeous. Why would you cut it?" And I'm like, "You try doing ceramics with it." I'm so happy that I cut it, and I wish I would have done it sooner, but it was a
Mm.
big part of my life. But yeah.
Yeah. I know my long hair makes me feel sexy.
Mhm.
Once you cut your hair, though, it seems like you feel so much sexier with your short
Yeah,
hair.
I mean, I've always had confidence in me. So and I'm not saying this in a bad way. Like, I know I'm a decently looking person, even with my like, long hair. But like when I cut my hair, it definitely, yeah, there's definitely another level of confidence there. And I think it's truly like me finally accepting like me. Like I've always accepted me, but like this is like my actual in my head identity that I've always kind of pictured of myself.
Mhm.
So like when I cut it and I, did that and I'm just like, wow, like crap, I look good. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
okay, I'm gonna rock this, all right? And I'm gonna, shine through it. So yeah, the confidence definitely came up even more. I feel more of myself, even though I felt that way with my long hair. It just wasn't at this level, if that makes sense.
totally. And it's amazing how much hair can change us because I look back at times when I've had shorter, say maybe like shoulder length or whatever, but now that I have my longer hair, yeah, I am feeling more confident in myself, even though there's a part of me that does want to cut my hair, but not, not to the level that you've cut your hair. But but I just see in your videos this swagger. You had the swagger when you had your long hair, but it gives a whole different vibe when you
Yeah,
have your short hair.
I feel that. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I'm like with my hair, I'm kind of breaking boundaries. Like I'm already breaking boundaries being a masked lesbian in general. I'm not inside of a box as much. So I'm kind of, a little bit more unique, I guess. I mean, I know there's a ton of masked lesbians that that have, short hair, but I'm just saying, I think I have a very broad sense of style. Like I can show up in, slacks and a nice, polo long sleeve shirt and the next day wear a t-shirt and baggy pants and a hat. I want to show that you don't have to be settled in one style, unique style. Like you can expand and kind of do your own thing, wear what makes you feel comfortable.
Talking about your clothes for one more moment, I swear, when I watch your videos and I see you in these pristine white pants or white tops, but especially these white pants you put on sometimes, I ask myself, are you wearing an apron while you teach, or how do you walk out of work every day clean?
Funny story too. I'll talk about this here in a second, but I think it's because I'm such a cleanly person. I try to avoid like when kids are trying to touch me or anything like that. I magically stay clean, just because I am so OCD with that. But it was funny. I wore the white pants the other day, and I walked into the office, and they're like, I think I was talking about we're starting ceramics, blah 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 blah, and they're like, "You're brave for wearing white," and I was just like, I'm OCD. I'm not gonna get anything on me. Two different times that after that. Two different times I got different things on me. So my advanced class, because I teach intro classes and I also teach an advanced painting class.
Hmm.
We were doing screen printing, so I was teaching them how to do t-shirt designs and print on their own t-shirts. Very messy process. And I just kept getting ink all over me and I kept finding it. I'm like, what's happening? And I'm like, I jinxed myself because I said, I'm not going to get anything on me. I lied to myself.
I was going to say that is exactly when we get covered in shit. Like
Yep.
literally trying our darndest to not be touched, and then something's gonna happen.
The only time I ever actually wear an apron is ceramics. So, like when I'm teaching, I'll put it on because it is very messy. My
Mm.
kids are usually like, "Hey, look at that apron you got on there." And I'm like, bitch, bet, look at this. Its style is pristine, even with an apron. No, I'm just kidding. But
uh,
they always make jokes about me when I do put on my apron.
I bet. Well, I'm sure it's covered in flaw, right?
It's covered in something. I don't know.
Covered
Over
in
the years,
covered
it's
in.
a lot of stuff.
Now, you mentioned you teach with other gay teachers. How many other queer educators are on your campus?
Ooh, so in our school alone, I would probably say we have, I'm saying in general of like how many teachers do we have? We have over 100 something teachers.
Oh, wow.
So I would say we have at least maybe 10 to 15 are gay.
Really?
Yeah, there's three of us art teachers. There's another art teacher who's gay. She also has short hair. Interesting enough, but she's not a mask lesbian like I am. But she has
Okay.
short hair. And then we have a lot of gay boys, to be honest.
Hmm.
And we have a decent amount of lesbians too. So we have a pretty diverse in terms of like the LGBTQ, plus community in our schools, as in terms of like our teachers. So it's kind of cool. Not
It's
everyone is out and proud like I
mm,
am, so it might
okay.
be a little bit more hush hush, but we do have a lot of representation in our schools, whether the kids truly know it or not.
That's what I was going to ask you next is if you'd send some of them my way, but it sounds like not all of them are out.
Yeah. They're a little bit older, so maybe they have their own kind of, ways about them. Maybe it's just growing up in a different generation. They're not as, presenting of themselves as they want to be, but no, I mean, it's nice to be in an environment where you feel comfortable. So, that's pretty
Yeah, that's so nice. And it sounds like you have a supportive admin,
cool. Mhm.
which is, hello, so rare.
We definitely have gone through admin over the years of my
Mm,
11 years that I've been there, but everyone's been kind of chill. They're more along the lines of if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, be who you are, you know, unless you are obviously like shouting to the world like I'm a lesbian and you're gonna learn this or blah blah blah. Like obviously don't draw attention to yourself like that, even though they think like lesbian teachers or gay teachers are somehow gonna make our students gay.
yeah.
Come on. They're very chill. They want us to be who we are. Same thing with our clothing. I'm very blessed that we don't have a strict like dress code.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to wear a hat. Kind of like worked my way to get there in a way. During COVID years, like our kids were allowed to kind of start wearing hats, and I'm like, if they can wear them, why can't I wear them? I'm in a messy environment all the time. And when I have my long hair, I'm like, I want to put it back in a hat. But they're truly a blessing because they are like, just do your work, be who you are. Because I think also that the way I dress and how stylish I am, it does relate to my students as well. So
Mm,
like they will have start conversations of like, I like your shoes. Where'd you get them? I want to get a pair or something like that. Like they have conversations with me about that. If I had to wear, dress pants and slacks every single day, they would
right.
probably be like, I'm not as interested in that. You look good, but like I don't want to talk about your dress shoes. You know what I mean? I want to talk about your Air Forces or whatever. So I
Mm,
am blessed that we don't have a very strict dress code because it does make things a little bit more relatable with students.
totally. Some of the videos you've posted, I've been sitting here thinking, who wears shorts? Who's allowed to wear fucking shorts to work? And then you're like rocking shorts.
Wait, so are you guys not allowed to wear shorts like where you guys are at?
No, maybe culottes or a skirt or something like that.
That's so crazy. Like when I get those comments, that is like the craziest thing to me. They're like, "You can wear shorts," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" Yes, I can wear shorts. Like are my knees illegal? I don't
I know.
understand. Like, what's so wrong about shorts? I really don't get it. If people can wear skirts, why can't
Mm,
you wear shorts?
they're
I
just
just,
they're so unprofessional.
oh, wow. Goodness gracious. My shorts are going to dictate how I teach. I'm not going to be a good teacher if you can see my knees.
I know. I love it though. And you're always very fashion forward with the shorts. Not like you're schlepping with some shorts and like just a plain tank top or something. Nothing like that, right? It's very put together.
I try.
And you're okay. Talking, I guess we're still gonna stick with this whole
We're still talking about my clothes somehow.
we're still talking fashion. This is my
Okay.
new fashion podcast, clearly.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
I'm curious, were you tatted as much? Okay, were you tatted when you got hired?
I did not have any tattoos until I would say I started getting tattoos within the past 2 years as well.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so I always knew I wanted them. I just never wanted to spend the money because I know that tattoos and getting good tattoos cost money because I don't want to
Mm,
go to, somebody that's going to ruin something on my body. So I've always just kind of utilized my money for other things, but I finally was
mm,
like, okay, I'm going to do it.
mm.
Then it was like just like how they say, once you get one, you can't stop.
Ha.
So I ended up getting like five in the same year, and I've just been slowly kind of like doing, as much as I not as much as I can, but I've been tapering it down a little bit because I'm like, at this rate, I'm gonna have no money, and it's gonna be covered, which is would be cool because that's what I want. I do actually want to have like full, not like like traditional style tattoos all over my body, other
Mm,
than my face. But yeah, I mean, I have my big neck tattoo.
yeah.
I got this when it was the same year I cut my hair. So it was big change, big change. So like if I had students who knew me before that last year, they walked in, they're like,
I know.
we thought we're like we read your name tag, but you look different. And they were like, you were thinking you were another teacher because it was a big change because with the hair and also the big neck tag. Um,
Right.
but yeah, no, it's been relatively recent since I've started getting them. So
And are you the only teacher with I'm figuring not, but
nope.
is it not an issue anymore? Because
I don't think I think we're definitely changing in terms like what is deemed professional
yeah.
nowadays. But no, I feel like the majority of my teachers that I teach with are tatted up. Like I have teachers that are full sleeves, like
Oh,
they rock their shit, man.
okay.
I have students who have full sleeves, which is
What?
crazy. No, I don't even know how they do this. Like, because I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like calculating how much that had to have cost. And I'm like, these aren't bad tattoos. So, like, this had to cost a lot of money. So, I'm like trying to, like, in my mind, I'm like, how did you get this money? Is it your parents? Are you doing a side hustle? Like, what are you doing to get these tattoos? But the majority of my students have tattoos as well. It's crazy at the high school
Wow.
level. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, no, a lot of us teachers have them. I will say I'm the first teacher with a neck. Well, I have two neck tats, but a neck tat.
Yeah.
But the students will usually be like, that's a cool tattoo, man," and I'm like, "Thanks."
I bet. Have you ever been walking on your campus? Because it sounds like it's huge
Mhm.
and been mistaken for a student.
All the time. I
I mean,
mean,
are you?
it was more when I had my. I mean, it's still when I have my short hair, but it was more when I had my long hair.
Oh, yeah.
Um, because I don't look my age. Let's just say that. I think it's the way I dress and everything like that too. And I kind of have a youthful face, so I don't look my age. I'm in
Mm,
my, mid 30s essentially. And
mm.
students will think I'm like a senior. And then they'll be walking down the halls and they'll be saying something to me or like it's kind of weird that they kind of hit on me sometimes. And I'm like, I'm a teacher. And they're like face red and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, okay, never mind. I've been in the middle of class and it's been kind of like they've like said things to me before, and I'm like, we're not talking about this right now. I'm like, I'm teaching. So it's kind of interesting. Um, just typical high schoolers, man.
I
And
bet.
it's from both sides. It's from boys, girls, all this kind of stuff, but they will
Mm.
always think that I'm younger than what I am, and they don't think I'm the teacher when they walk in. They like kind of look around, and I'm like, "What you doing, bro?" And they're like, "When's the teacher coming in?" And I'm like, "I'm here." You can sit anywhere you want. So, but typically that's like incoming freshmen.
Mm-hmm.
But people who have been around the school know who I am now. So like I usually like to participate in the pep rallies and all that kind of stuff. So they get a sense of who I am if they've been in the school. And they'll be like, "Oh, that's the cool art teacher," or something like that. So it's the incoming freshmen that typically don't know who I am for the most part.
That's hilarious. And I bet the other art teachers don't like that you're referred to as the cool art teacher.
We'll never talk about that. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know what they say, but we can
Okay.
call it DL for now.
That's hilarious. Talking about how cool you are now. After you cut your hair,
Mhm.
did you find that your colleagues and or students responded to you differently?
I don't believe they did. I think I have a big personality, and that's never changed. I'm a very, bubbly, very genuine person, and I'm also the class clown. So I was the class clown in high school. So I kind of goof around a lot. So my hair changed. Everyone kind of was like, "Hey, that looks really good," but like nothing big because I didn't change in an essence. Does that make sense?
It
So
does.
they say I like that style on you. But then it's kind of like a shorter conversation and then we like move on. Does that make sense?
That
Um,
makes complete sense because I've been trying to sort of workshop this thought I've been having, which is, and I guess I'm going to kind of segue into this idea of, because I've been interviewing teachers, gay
mhm,
teachers, and I, as a gay teacher, had some shitty experiences.
mhm.
In my classroom, these people I've interviewed have had shitty experiences, are still going through shitty experiences, right? And when I talk with teachers like you, and you're gay, you're masc, you are openly, right? I mean, I would figure people see you, they
I'm like
would,
I'm a walking gay billboard. What can I say?
yeah.
Like, I mean, it's very noticeable.
And then to know that you don't have pushback from parents or admin, and you have this, it sounds like you have a great career and you
Hmm.
have a great experience, right? And you're engaging with your students and you're not dealing with any bullshit from parents or whomever, whatever. And it's so curious to me. My thought on this is okay, I can't help but think if I were to ever go mask or, change my appearance, I would probably be like fucking clawed at, you know, you know?
Yeah.
And but my thought on this is, and this is what I'm workshopping now, is because you are so authentic,
Hmm.
authentically you, and you're owning it, right? There's not a shadow of a doubt. You don't have any weakness in who you are, right? That there's no holes for someone to come and like poke through or poke at.
I think I want to talk to you about that. I think you're right on that. I think it's because like how I present myself is like yes, I'm gay, but that's not my like whole persona. Like I'm just a person like anybody else. I just happen to have a wife. So I am that way in my classroom. Like it's a normal thing. Like why wouldn't it be normal to marry someone you love? So like I keep it that way with my students. Like they'll ask me questions and I won't bullshit with them. I'll tell them straight up how I am and this is my wife. I have big pictures of my wife in my room. So I think me being so upfront about that, I think you're correct about that. They have another teacher that they are an ally of, our community because they have like a trans son, but they're not queer
Mm,
themselves.
mm,
And they are like so loud about being gay allies and all this kind of stuff. And I've had people be like, they kind of get annoyed by it because like they're all
mm,
always constantly being like,
mm,
gay, 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 gay. And the student was like, in your classroom, it's like normal. And he's like, you don't have to
mm,
shove it down our throats. He's just like, you're just you. And it
mhm,
kind of like makes it just like chiller because he's like,
mhm,
I like you as a person. I don't care what you do, essentially. He's like, you're a good teacher and you don't have to shove down our throats that you are gay. All right, because we obviously know you are. But
yeah,
it was interesting to hear that just like that viewpoint of maybe it is because it's just who I am and how I present myself that
mm,
I don't get as much flack. because I'm not parading around everything, even though you're more than welcome to do that. Please parade around because, we've been through so much shit that, it's good to be, out and proud. It's an interesting viewpoint. Maybe it is that. Maybe it is
I wonder.
because I'm so confidently myself
Hmm.
that people don't push back as much.
Yeah, that's my new hypothesis.
I like it.
I'm running with it. And so, do you have a genders and sexualities alliance on your campus? And are you part of it?
When I first started teaching, I was also a coach, so I didn't have a lot of extra time to spend
Mm,
after school to also be a part of the Gay Straight Alliance kind of scenario. And
yeah.
then I got married, and then that just took away my time too. So like, I know we have one, but I think in the past couple years, it kind of has our main person who ran it has retired, so it's kind of like dwindled away a little bit. But I
Mhm.
know we definitely have something that we do currently, kind of like students are able to come through and so forth like that. Interesting enough, though, the middle school where my wife teaches at our middle school in our district, she wanted to kind of do kind of like not a gay straight alliance, but like something where like if you're a queer person or even just like trying to make friends, not even just strictly queer, you're just trying to make
Mhm.
friends. She wanted something like that, and she got a little flack for that. But there was different things that kind of happened with it. It wasn't strictly trying to put on a gay club, but she did get a little pushback for some things, which I won't go into detail with because she's kind of more private. But it was just
Mm,
kind of interesting from the middle school perspective to the high school perspective how it changes in terms of age level.
yeah, totally, totally. And I was even thinking, so did that club that she wanted to start ever happen or no because of the pushback?
A little bit of the pushback, but there was also some cracks in like how to set up a club,
Mm,
and the administration essentially and the superintendents and all that kind of stuff figured out like, oh, these cracks need to be, kind of filled in terms of like starting a new club. So like it was kind of like in a stalemate in a way for a long time, and she just ultimately was like, I don't want to do this.
yeah,
Because like the logistics of things of setting up a new club and all this kind of stuff was just a lot to handle. And then she was just like finally like, I'm just not gonna do it.
sure, of course, I know. I
But
mean, what,
we've always had one at our school for the most part.
yeah, out of the 2,000 students your school has, and thinking about even all of your art students, would you say that what is the percentage now? Even more than 1 in 10 people being gay,
Are you
right?
saying in terms of students?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of queer babies out there, and that's why for me when I was in high school, I mean I didn't go to a school that was nearly the size of what I teach at. I would be lucky to find another queer kid, in my grade level. So like it
Yeah.
wasn't, really out there. And I know that wasn't that long ago. I mean, I graduated in 2010, so like not that long
Wow.
ago.
No.
But even teachers, I didn't have any teacher to look up to because like none
Mm,
of them were out. We
yeah.
suspected, but like still, it would have been nice
Yeah.
to have a teacher to be like relatable to. So I think me, that's a big part of who I am as a teacher is like being that representation. So my queer babies can be like, I'm in a safe place,
Mm,
like I'm in a safe environment, like they're gonna understand me a little bit more. And even like if they have questions about something. I mean, obviously I can only do so much, but at least, those questions are starting to form in their heads a little bit more, seeing me. Does that make sense in terms of like,
sure.
am I, a masked lesbian? Am I queer? Am I all these kind of things? Like, so it is kind of interesting to kind of, be on the other side of like trying to be a representation for my students. Because I know what
Yeah.
it's like to not have that when I was in high school.
Yeah. Could you imagine? So, did you know you were gay in high school? You
I came
did.
out yep, I came out when I was a junior in high school.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a hot minute. I've definitely, I mean, I knew even in first grade, it's kind of interesting. I knew in first grade, that I was gay as well. I mean, that argument of you choose to be gay. Like no.
Mm-hmm.
In first grade, come on, I'm like 5, 6 years old. Like, how do I
Yeah.
know that I want to have a little girlfriend instead? I wanted to be like my brothers instead. So apparently what my brothers say is, you were kissing girls in magazines when you were young. I was like, what do you mean? So I'm like, I didn't learn that. That was born in me. I kind of always knew in the back of my head that I was gay, and I think my phase was dating boys.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was my phase when they're like, "Oh, gay is being," but like my phase was
Right.
dating men. So I finally decided, in my junior year, which is kind of a funny scenario of how I came out. I kind of had to force myself out because I started to date my first girlfriend, and my best friend of the time, not of the time, she's still my best friend actually. We've been best friends since sixth grade. I was texting both of them at the same time, and they both have the same kind of name in a way, so they both start with A's. And I
Okay.
said the wrong thing to my best friend, and she's like, Rachel, do you have to tell me something? Because I was like texting my girlfriend at the time, and she's like, do you gotta tell me something? Like, this was not meant for me, obviously. But yeah, then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna come out
Oh.
now. So then it just kind
Oh
of
my gosh.
the floodgates opened, and then I ended up telling my parents all that kind of stuff. I did get some flack. That's probably the most flack that I've ever gotten in my life was my parents and so forth, because
Mm.
my dad is a son of two pastors, so I grew up
Oh.
kind of Christian. I'm not religious in any way right now. I just believe if you're a good person, you're a good person. Like I don't follow a religion or anything like that. So it was kind of rough at the end of my high school career, but then I went to college and just kind of got away from things and just truly
Yeah.
just blossomed into who I am now.
Especially being an art major, I'm sure you had a lot of pickings in college.
True. I was an art major, and also I played Division 1 soccer too. So I was like,
Oh,
it was interesting because it's either you do sports or you do, the arts. So like I would go literally sprint from my practice to my art class, and I would show up in my like soccer gear because I played soccer. And they'd be like, "Are you in the right place?" And I'm like, "Yes." But yeah, it was definitely interesting in terms of that aspect.
See, I went through high school thinking I was very asexual. I had, I mean, in retrospect, there was a gal in my senior class, and I said to myself, oh, I just really wanted to be her friend. Isn't that the
That's
cliche
usually
statement?
what it's like. It's like you either want to be her or like, um,
Yeah.
yeah, or you want to be on her. I don't know. So
Just really want to be her friend.
I just
And and
really want
I
to kiss
think
my friend. I don't know why.
and I we only had one class together and we weren't in the same circle. And I remember at the homecoming dance and I was in this beautiful dress. I just looked at her and there's something about her. I think she was more mature, you
Mhm,
know, because I'm very young. I was a very young
mhm.
high schooler or student with my peers, and she seemed so mature. And I just remember going up to her and saying, she was part of the homecoming court. So I said, let me fix your hair. And so I'm just fixing her hair and her dress. And I said to myself, oh, good Lord, this is, years later, I'm having this aha moment.
Oh, like this is why I did this.
Yeah. But otherwise, boys would ask me out on dates, and I just had this feeling of not so much the ick, which I did, but
Hmm.
it was a fear,
Hmm.
and a fear of having any guy get near me.
Yeah.
And I'd always tell them I wasn't allowed to date.
I'm not allowed
And
to date men in my own.
yeah, I'm not allowed to date men. My own rule. But there was this one boy, and so you know how we do, we need to be accepted, right? And I was senior in high school, and I wanted to be well liked, blah blah. And I started telling my friends that I had a crush on this boy, and this boy looked like a girl. So he had really long hair, very cute face, very feminine boy. It's just interesting the things we do, right? All
Hmm.
throughout college. Then I think when I turned 20, I said, well, shit, I better start dating, right? People are starting to talk,
Yeah.
right? And then that's when I started dating men. And It's just,
No, I know the feeling.
yeah, you know the feeling. But from the sounds of it, you didn't do it for too long, hey?
No, I did look at, so not to be blunt, but like, I'd be like, I don't want to be around that. I don't like that aspect of men.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, ew, like, no. So I was like, yeah. And then like seeing girls like, hello, went here, so it is kind of interesting, like when we figure things out and so forth too.
Yeah.
But everyone's on their own timeline, and that's okay, you know.
Everyone.
Mhm.
And if anyone out there listening is like me and a late bloomer, so to speak, I had my natal chart read once, and this astrologist had said to me that Venus, the planet of love, was retrograde. So it was moving backward at the time of my birth. And so I guess when anything's retrograde, it's
Mhm.
going to slow stuff down in your life. So check your natal chart. Venus might have been retrograde the moment you were born, also.
I think it also has to do with situations too, because my
Yeah.
wife, I'm actually the first like girl that she was with, and then she married. So like she also was kind of like a late bloomer. She was in like long-term relationships with men, so
Mm.
she didn't really have the opportunity. Like she always knew that she was like bisexual and she liked women and men, but she never got to really truly act upon like the women aspect. She was always in these long-term relationships. And then she kind of, met me and she's just like, oh, I like you. And she stuck with me apparently. So, uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was kind of interesting. I think it's just where you're at in life and, your experiences. And then things just
Yeah.
have to line up how they need to line up. Eventually you'll get to be who you need to be. You might have to work through some things, but everyone's on their own timelines and situations and different types of lifestyles and so forth,
Yeah.
might pause somebody or somebody might be quicker to things and who knows.
So true, so true. I know there used to be a part of me that would be jealous when I would hear these gals say, I came out at 13. And I'd say, big fucking whoopity doo, good for
Like,
you.
good for
Yeah,
you.
good. Yeah, good for you. I hate you. No. And there's that jealousy, right? But
Yeah, no, I feel that.
it's interesting. You know what? We regret anything, right? On our path, right? It's all lessons. Comp het is real.
Hmm.
We have to, I think, as a society, I think having so many more out queer people in society now,
Hmm.
I think helps the younger generation have the ability to say, well, hold on. Oh, so you mean I don't have to be with the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have more representation and
Yeah.
like that's good. I mean, I wish I had that when I was again like when I was younger, but I appreciate that, it's starting to be more in the media and even though there's flack when a TV show
Mm.
why is there gay people in this? Because we're freaking normal people, man. Like, come on. So that representation matters. So it does help that they have more of it. So they probably question themselves a little bit more now
Yeah.
versus like when we barely saw things and it's just like it's not as common. You felt super weird because you were like very minority. Like, I mean, we're still a minority, but
Yeah.
it was even less talked about. So,
Yeah.
no, like I have queer babies out the yin yang in my classes. I have the real fruity boys and I have, the masked lesbians as well. And I love all their personalities. And I'm happy that I can share with them that, I'm their little queer baby in itself too. You know what I mean? So, like, we relate to that. And I appreciate that. I like those bonds that I have because of that, because I want them to feel safe.
What is really striking me as surprising is that you're in the Midwest. And I know that's me looking at you through my judgy West Coast California eyes. But all stereotypes aside, the Midwest is far more conservative in general.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I just think it's so interesting that you are living in this, wherever you live, we don't need to say it. And you've got out queer students, there's out queer teachers at your school, and it sounds like everyone's just living and let living.
Hmm. I think it does have to do with placement.
Mm.
So I'm not in a big city whatsoever, but we are pretty close to really big cities that they're more blue. We'll just say that.
Hmm.
So like I think that has to proximity wise to deal a little bit about that. And like I think also because we are one high school and not a huge, even though we're a big high school, I think also the representation of them like growing up because there's queer elementary teachers, there's queer middle school teachers. So like for example, like I've mentioned, my wife teaches at the middle school and she just started kind of getting into teaching within the past 5 years. And I'm starting to get her students and such.
Hmm.
So she's kind of like, there's another that you're gonna have, and she might be your art teacher one day. So she's kind of telling the queer babies in a way, like you're gonna have somebody at the high school to kind of talk to and look up to. So it's kind of interesting, even before I get to know these students, they know who I am, and they're like, I had your wife, and I love her, and like so it builds these pre like existing bonds even before we even actually make a bond. I think it's just like how our community is, and so if I'm not gonna say everyone is queer friendly because
Mm.
everywhere is not.
Yeah.
But I am happy to be in a district where we have a strong union as well. If anything were to happen, they support us. So I just think it's just a little bit more easygoing, and I appreciate that. So I'm lucky to be where I'm at
Yeah.
because I know if I'm, let's just say, 30 miles down the road in a very rural, I can't even say that. I
Mm.
can never say the word. The
Rural?
Yes, I can never say it. I always want to say roller for some reason. Art teacher and me, like 30 miles down the road, they might be different because they're very, farm and that's very conservative. And, so I think it really does matter where we're at. And we're a very public school and a melting pot of all different kinds of things because we're Title One.
Yeah.
And I think we have enough problems like just trying to get them to school and teach them
Mm.
that, you know, being queer really is a second thought.
Yeah. That's the goal anyway, right? It sounds like y'all are not, I don't know why I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
It sounds like you all are, I want to say living the dream, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you
We're
all,
we're surviving is what we're doing.
okay, it sounds like y'all are
Teaching
surviving.
world is crazy.
Thank you so much for coming on my podcast. And you are welcome back anytime. We can do a part two. And I like to ask everyone what gay thing they're doing these days. So, what gay thing are you doing?
So I'm not much of a reader, so I'm definitely not reading anything gay. I'm definitely not watching anything gay, so I'm kind of a boring lesbian, I guess. But obviously, being an artist, I think the gayest thing that I am doing is I am working on a series of kind of more of like my true identity. I recently just got top surgery, so I'm in a kind of unique category because I still identify as a woman. I just didn't identify with my boobs, so I got top surgery. So I'm kind of doing some artwork that is based around that and kind of like my true identity in a way. So I'm going to be creating some lino cuts or printmaking that is showing more of what my body looks like as who I am now. So that's probably the gayest thing that I'm currently doing.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. And are you going to be sharing your art on your TikTok?
We shall see that aspect just because my students always do come across my TikTok. They'll be like, I saw your outfits, even though I saw it in person, they'll be like, look what I found. And I'm like, if you can utilize these investigative skills in
Yeah.
artwork, Uh,
Yeah.
so it's a little bit different in terms of that because I obviously don't want to show my naked, not my, but like, I don't want to show my upper naked body to my students.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will be a little bit more private with that. I'll probably post it more on like my private Instagram or something like that.
Mm. Hmm.
Maybe I'll send it to you since we're becoming acquaintances and friends. I'll share that with you, but probably not into the public itself on my TikTok because it is a public platform that I put out there because I want everybody to see my videos. So
Yeah.
I'm cautious of what I put out there. My fits are fine, but
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing probably not.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Classroom tours and your newest extra credit opportunities for your
Yeah.
students. That's all good.
Yes, that's appropriate stuff. My tatas not so much.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, again, thank you for coming on.
course.
Thank you all for listening.
Same. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my spiel.
You're welcome back anytime you want to spiel some more.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.